Have you ever asked a question so huge, so massive, that the only real answer is a story? Well, today we're jumping into a really profound dialogue from the Śrīmad Bhagavatam. It's all about a king who asks for something that seems impossible, a complete list of all of God's activities. And the answer he gets? Well, it's a lesson in the nature of infinity itself. So let's see how this incredible piece of wisdom unfolds.
So it all kicks off with King Nimi. He goes to this very wise sage, Drumila, with what sounds like a simple request, right? But it's actually colossal. He's asking for a full catalog, a definitive account of every single thing Lord Hari has ever done in every single one of his incarnations. Talk about a quest for knowledge. But, he might not be quite ready for the answer he's about to get. And here it is, the sage's reply. And wow, it's not what you'd expect. He doesn't even try to answer directly. Instead, he gives this beautiful, incredibly powerful metaphor. He says that trying to list out all of the Lord's qualities and actions, well, it's like trying to count every single particle of dust on the entire planet. The task isn't just hard, it's fundamentally impossible. Okay, so if you can't list infinity, how in the world do you explain it? Well, the sage starts right at the beginning, with the creation of the cosmos itself, to show the king why these activities are so completely boundless. The foundational idea here is this concept of the Purusha. Now, this isn't a creator who just builds something and then stands back to watch. No. The Purusha, Lord Narayana, creates the 5 elements and then actually enters into them. He becomes the very fabric, the very consciousness of the universe. He's both the source and the substance of everything.
What's so fascinating is how this one single source then diversifies. From that one Purusha, you get these 3 fundamental energies, or modes, that govern everything. You've got Sattva, which is all about preservation, Rajas, which is for creation, and Tamas, for dissolution. And these energies then manifest as the great cosmic managers, Vishnu, Brahma, and Rudra. So right from the very start, the divine is woven into every single aspect of existence.
But instead of just sticking with this high-level abstract cosmology, the sage does something brilliant. He pivots to a story. I mean, if a list is impossible, maybe a single powerful example can show you more than 1,000 facts ever could. And this story is all about an incarnation named Nara Narayana.
So let's meet our protagonist. This is the sage Nara Narayana, who is actually an incarnation of the Lord. He's deep in these intense spiritual practices, but he's not grim or harsh about it. He's described as being completely tranquil, just radiating this profound peace that's so powerful, other great sages are drawn to him just to serve him.
And this is where the conflict starts. Indra, the king of the gods, sees this incredible spiritual power and, well, he gets nervous. He projects his own ambitions onto the sage, and he starts to worry that Narayana is after his throne in heaven. So you get this amazing contrast. You have Indra's fear and insecurity on one side, and the sage's totally unshakable, self-contained peace on the other. So Indra decides he needs to break this sage's focus, and he basically throws everything he's got at him. He sends out Cupid, the god of desire, along with his whole crew of celestial beauties, the Apsaras. They weaponize the spring breeze, and their main ammunition, alluring feminine glances. This is a full-on assault of temptation. And right here, this is the turning point. Indra's whole army of temptation arrives, ready for a fight. But Narayana doesn't get angry. He's not even fazed. He just smiles and welcomes them like they're honored guests. He offers them gifts and tells them, hey, don't be afraid. He completely disarms them with kindness. And the effect is immediate. Cupid and the nymphs, they're just humbled. They bow their heads in shame, realizing how wrong they were. Their powers, their temptations, are totally useless against someone who's so deeply connected to the source. They basically admit that for a true devotee, even obstacles made by the gods themselves, they're just nothing. Now this is where the sage demonstrates his true power. He doesn't just resist temptation. He shows complete mastery over it. As they're praising him, he effortlessly creates a group of women who are far more beautiful, far more divine than the ones Indra sent, and all of them are totally absorbed in selfless, devoted service. And this final act of supreme generosity, this is the real checkmate. He doesn't just forgive them, he gives them a gift. He offers them one of his own creations, the magnificent Urvashi, to take back to heaven with them. He meets an attack with a blessing, showing his complete and total power and detachment. It's just incredible. So when the messengers get back to the celestial court and tell Indra what happened, you can just imagine the scene. He is left completely speechless, utterly astonished. He tried to win with temptation and ego, and the sage responded with creativity and pure generosity. Indra just realized he was up against a power that was completely beyond his understanding. Now you have to remember, that whole epic story, that was just one single example meant to illustrate the Lord's nature. The sage told it precisely because a list wasn't impossible. So now, to really drive home the scale of what the king was asking for, the sage gives him this rapid-fire glimpse of just how huge this topic really is. And boom, the sage just unleashes this cascade of other famous incarnations. As Matsya, the fish, saving all of life from a cosmic flood. As Kūrma, the tortoise, holding up an entire mountain on his back. As Varāha, the boar, literally rescuing the earth. As Narasimha, the man-lion, protecting his devotee. As Vāmana, the dwarf, taking back the universe in just 3 steps. And of course, as the noble Prince Rāma. Every single one of these is a universe of stories in itself. And it just keeps going. He takes the form of Hayagriva to rescue sacred knowledge, as Parashurama, a fierce warrior to bring balance back to the world, even as Buddha, specifically to guide those who are misusing sacred traditions. And he's still not done. There's a future incarnation, Kalki, prophesied to show up at the end of our current age. The sheer variety of forms and functions is just staggering. And so here we are, coming full circle. The sage has taken the king and us on this incredible journey, from the blueprint of the cosmos through one amazing story to a breathtaking montage of divine action. And now, he's about to bring it all home. The sage finishes with these words. And notice what he says. He says, many glorious deeds have been described. He doesn't say all deeds have been listed. He's given the king a taste, a glimpse, an impression of infinity. Because in the end, that was the only true answer that was ever really possible. And that leaves us with this final thought, right? If every one of these epic, world-changing stories is just a single grain of sand on an infinite beach, just one tiny particle of that cosmic dust, what does that imply about the universe we're living in? Maybe it suggests that meaning and purpose and incredible wonder aren't just found in a few special stories, but are literally woven into the very fabric of an infinitely creative reality.
Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
We are opening up some fascinating source material today, really diving into a text that tackles something. Well, something it calls inherently impossible.
Exactly. It's this fundamental challenge, trying to capture the infinite, specifically the infinite deeds of the Supreme.
Yeah, and the text frames it through this this ancient conversation, a samvada, right, between a king and a sage.
That's right. Raja, the king, and the sage Drimala. And their whole discussion revolves around Lor Hari or Vinno, and this very problem. How do you even begin to summarize everything he's done?
The king really sets the bar high, doesn't he? Right in that first jaloka.
Yeah.
He's not asking for, the greatest hits.
No, not at all.
He wants all of it. A complete rundown of all the activities, the karmashi, everything the Lord has done or is still doing through his incarnations.
These Svachanda Janmabhi, these self-willed appearances. He wants the full, unabridged biography of God.
Quite the request.
And Drumala's response is just brilliant. It's immediate, and it really sets the theme for our whole deep dive today. He straight up says it's paradoxical.
He does. He says, anyone trying to list all the infinite qualities, the Gujananantan of the Lord.
Who is Akila Shakti Tamna, the reservoir of all energies.
Right. Anyone trying that has, what's the phrase? Childish intelligence.
Balabujya. It's quite blunt, really.
I love that. And the text gives us that fantastic analogy too, sloka too.
Oh, the dust particles, yes.
You can't list all the divine deeds any more than one person could possibly count all the dust particles, the Rajasi, on the entire planet.
It's just beyond finite comprehension, even if you had forever to do it.
Why? Because it's not static.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
Lord's activities aren't just a list of past events, they're ongoing. Creation, destruction, maintenance. It's constant. You'd finish counting and there'd be, well, new dust, new actions.
So, okay, mission impossible on the counting front. But our mission today then is maybe not to count the dust, but to look for the patterns in the dust. To explore the key actions, the really illustrative ones in this source material.
That's the goal, to understand the scope, the why behind the deeds, the identity of the doer himself before we even get to the list.
Okay, so where do we start? Foundational stuff.
Let's start at the very beginning, the metaphysical bedrock, you could say, deed 0. Before we get to the specific interventions, we really need to grasp the underlying structure. The text identifies the original supreme god, the Adideva, as Lord Narayan.
Narayan. Okay, so is this like a specific person or more like the ultimate source?
More like the ultimate source, the foundational reality. And the first act described isn't creating the universe outwards exactly. It's more like building a house for himself.
How so?
He constructs this amazing radiant body, a Pururvirajam, using the 5 elements. And significantly, these are elements he created himself, Tanmasaya.
So he makes the bricks, then builds the house with those bricks.
A good way to put it. And then comes the crucial step, inhabiting it. The text says he enters this cosmic body with his own plenary portion.
Especially now, okay, hang on. Plenary portion. If he's infinite, why just a portion? Does that mean this form is limited?
Ah, good question. It's not limited in power, but it's specific in function. Think of it like a fully empowered ambassador representing the entire kingdom. It's his complete power, but focused for interaction within the created realm.
Okay, so it's a deliberate choice for managing the cosmos.
Precisely. And once he enters this radiant form, he gets the name Puru.
The Puru. And this isn't just a god within the cosmos.
No, according to this text, the Purua is the cosmos. The entire structure of the 3 worlds, Bhuvana Traya Sannivesha, that's his body, Yatkaya.
Wow, that really changes the perspective on creation. It's not just built by him. It is him, in a way.
In a very fundamental way, and it connects right down to us, to you listening. It says the senses of all living beings, Tanuputam, function because of his cosmic senses.
So my seeing, hearing,
Yeah.
that's powered by the Puru's senses.
That's the idea presented here. He's the source of our knowledge, Janai, our strength from breath, Shasanato Bala, our vitality, Oja, even our basic drive or desire.
He's not just the architect of the universe. He's the power grid running through every single thing,
Yeah.
sustaining us literally right now.
Exactly. The ultimate source. #tag B, the Trinity and the modes of nature. And this Pruya, this power source, doesn't just sit there. It operates through a dynamic system. The 3 modes of nature, the gusis.
The modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas.
Correct. The Purua is called the Adhikarta, the original doer or cause of creation, maintenance, and destruction, Uddhava Siti Laya. And he does this using these modes.
This is where we start to see that Trinity idea, isn't it? But maybe not as 3 separate gods, but 3 functions of the one Purua?
That's a very good way to look at it based on this text. It's the mechanism he uses for managing the constant flow of the universe. The source maps it out quite clearly.
Okay, let's walk through that. First, Uddhava, creation.
Creation needs energy, drive, activity. That's the mode of passion, Rajasa. And the divine personality manifesting this function is Brahma. He's called Satadut here.
Meaning?
One with great endurance or holding 100 forms. It implies the sheer creative effort needed to generate diversity. Passion fuels that initial burst.
Makes sense. Okay, so things are created, then you need stability,
Yeah.
steady maintenance.
Exactly. And that's the role of Lord Vyan, operating through the mode of goodness, sattva. Sattva is inherently stable, clear, illuminating. It maintains order.
And the text gives him specific titles here, right? Kratupethya.
Yes, Lord of Sacrifice, which points to ritual order, the structured ways of maintaining cosmic balance.
And the other one, Dijanda Masatu. That sounds important.
It is. Upholder of the Brahmatal order, or more broadly, the bridge, Satu, upholding Dharma, the righteous, ethical, spiritual framework of the universe.
So Vinod's job in goodness is to keep that bridge of universal law intact.
Fundamentally, yes. If Dharma collapses, everything collapses. Vientu ensures it doesn't. That's his core maintenance deed.
And the cycle needs a reset button. Laya, destruction, or dissolution.
That function is carried out by Lord Rudra, or Siva, manifesting through tamasa, the mode of ignorance or darkness.
Ignorance sounds negative, but it's necessary here.
In this context, Tamas represents the inertia, the withdrawal, the dissolution needed to clear the slate for renewal. It's the necessary end part of the cycle.
And this whole cycle, creation, maintenance, destruction, it's not just a one-time thing.
No, the text stresses it happens continuously, satada prajasu, among all beings. It's the constant rhythm of the cosmos, all powered by that original pruo.
What a framework. So the king asks for deeds, and the sage says, first, understand the engine of reality.
Exactly, you need the context of the doer.
Okay, context established. Now let's zoom in on a specific story, a very personal intervention. This Nārada saga sounds fascinating. Less cosmic battles, more psychological warfare. Right, so we shift from the cosmic scale down to a specific place, Bhadodikashrama, and a specific incarnation.
Yes, Narayan appears here as Nadari, this exalted sage form, alongside his twin, Nara. They're born from Murti and Dharma. And Narayana's form here is described as Prashinta, deeply peaceful, tranquil.
And his mission is quite unique for a divine appearance, isn't it? He's not there slaying demons, at least not initially.
No, he's there to teach by example. His whole purpose is demonstrating nakarmi electum,
Which is?
the path of action that generates no karmic reaction, freedom from the binding results of work. Actionless action, in a sense. He practices it himself, and the text says his feet are revered by the greatest sages even today.
So he's radiating peace, detachment, and this paradoxically causes panic in heaven.
It absolutely does. Indra, the king of heaven, sees this immense power of self-control and gets deeply insecure.
Why? What's he afraid of?
He fears Naranarya might be accumulating power to take his job, to usurp his heavenly kingdom Dhamma-jihikati. Indra only understands power in terms of control and possession.
So he sees renunciation as just another strategy for acquisition.
Pretty much, kind of spiritual power play.
Yeah.
And his reaction is, well, the text calls it improper.
Hmm.
Sukritam akramam.
What does he do? Send an army.
Not a typical army. He sends his elite squadron of temptation.
Led by.
Cupid himself, Kamai, the god of lust, along with his whole entourage, Sagankai, the celestial nymphs, the Apsaragan, and even the environment gets weaponized, the gentle spring breezes, Vasanta Sumandavatai. It's a full-spectrum sensual assault aimed at breaking their meditative focus.
Wow. And the text is specific about the main weapon, right? Not swords, but glances.
Exactly. Śrī Krishna, the arrows of feminine glances, they're targeting that very subtle, very primal vulnerability to beauty and allure. Hashtag B to tranquility and the lesson learned.
Okay, so the attack is launched. How does the Lord react? This is the core deed here, isn't it?
It is. The Adideva, the primeval lord, he sees right through Indra's ploy. But the text emphasizes he's got a vismaya, neither bewildered nor angered.
No reaction at all.
Just a gentle laugh, prahasha. That laugh contains everything. It completely diffuses the situation.
The ultimate display of non-reactivity. Power through perfect peace.
And then he speaks to them. These agents of temptation are probably terrified, expecting to be incinerated.
Rightfully so.
But he says, Mafaya, don't be afraid. He offers them fearlessness. And then, with this beautiful touch of divine humor, he invites them to accept hospitality, balim, offerings, make their visit worthwhile, ashinyam ima kudavam.
He turns their attack into a welcome party.
Essentially, yes, he meets aggression with grace and generosity. It's a masterclass in turning the other cheek, but from a position of absolute power.
How do Cupid and the Apsaras react to that?
They're completely humbled, Savarnamrashirasa bowing their heads in shame. They instantly get it. His nature. They realize, of course he's calm. Now, itat vichitra, it's not surprising. Why? Because he is Rāma, self-satisfied, finding bliss within himself, and avite, unchanging. Their entire arsenal was just irrelevant to him.
Because his happiness doesn't depend on anything external. Hashtag C, obstacles in the final test.
Exactly. And this realization leads them, and the text, to a deeper point about the spiritual path itself.
What's that?
They acknowledge that genuine devotees, people trying to serve the Lord, often face obstacles, antarai. And sometimes, ironically, these obstacles are created by the demigods themselves, surakata, like Indra just did.
So the path gets harder the higher you aim. Even the gods might test you.
That's the warning here. But they also state that true devotees overcome these tests and reach the supreme abode because the Lord himself is the ultimate protector. Avita, standing Vignamurdani, atop all impediments, he accepts their devotion directly.
This sounds like it's setting up something crucial.
It is. It leads directly into Sloka 11, which contains maybe the most profound psychological insight of this whole section, a warning about the final trap.
The final trap. After overcoming Indra's best temptation squad, what could be worse?
It's incredibly subtle. The verse describes yogis who've done the impossible. They've crossed the Aparajalatin, the vast, seemingly endless oceans of major desires.
Like what? What are these oceans?
Hunger, thirst, the limitations of time, the influence of the three modes, the demands of breath, the cravings of the tongue, and yes, even sexual desire.
These are the big ones, the ones that bind us most tightly to the material world.
So these yogis have conquered all that. Decades of austerity, unimaginable self-control. They've basically won.
They've won the major battles. They're standing on the shore, freedom in sight. And yet, the text says they can still fall. They drown.
Drown. After crossing the ocean. Drown in what?
In a puddle, metaphorically speaking. Paid go in a cow's hoofprint filled with water, a tiny, insignificant obstacle.
How? What causes this final fall? The falasya vashakradasya yanti. They fall under the sway of futile anger.
Anger. Not lust, not greed, but anger. After all that seems disproportionate.
Doesn't it? But think about it. Lust, hunger, these are big external seeming forces you fight with willpower. You conquer them, you feel powerful, maybe even spiritually proud. Ahakara.
Pride. The ego.
Exactly. And what happens when that hard-won spiritual pride gets nicked by something trivial, someone disrespects you slightly, something minor doesn't go your way?
You react with anger.
With futile anger. Anger that achieves nothing, solves nothing, but reveals that the ego, the pride, is still fundamentally fragile. And in that moment of pointless rage, they throw it all away. They abandon their hard-earned austerities.
Wow. So the final enemy isn't the big desire. It's the tiny reaction of the proud ego after the desires are seemingly conquered. That's a chilling warning. #D, the gift of Urvishe.
It is. And having delivered this lesson, the Lord then provides the perfect demonstration of his own mastery over the very things Indra tried to use.
How does he do that?
While the messengers are still standing there, praising him, the Lord, Vibhu just, manifests women. Right there, Atyabhuta Darshana, unbelievably beautiful, wondrous to behold, personally created by him, Svarchita.
He just creates beauty on the spot.
Effortlessly. And these women are described as being like goddess Lakam herself in form, Sharir Eva Ripig.
So he's showing them, you tried to tempt me with beauty, I am the source of all beauty.
Precisely. The comparison is stark. The beauty, fragrance, and sheer presence of these newly manifested women completely outshine Indra's apsaras. Their charm is hatajriya ruined, diminished.
Talk about being shown up.
It's the ultimate quiet display of supremacy. Non-violent, but absolute.
So what happens then? Does he just send them away?
No. He completes the lesson with generosity. He tells the humbled messengers to choose one of these celestial women, Svargabhyatam, an ornament for heaven, suggesting they pick one suitable for their own class. Savaram.
As a gift, after they attacked him.
As a gift, a demonstration of detachment and magnanimity. I create this effortlessly. I'm not attached to it. You may have one.
That's incredible. Who did they choose?
They chose Urvasha, described as Apsarashali, the best among the Apsaras, and they took her back to heaven.
What was Indra's reaction when they got back and told him what happened?
When they described Narayana's power, Narayana Bala, in the celestial assembly, Indra, Shakra, was left completely vismita, astonished, stunned, overwhelmed. The lesson hit home. True power isn't in temptation or control. It's in perfect self-satisfaction.
What a story. A single deed that's actually a profound teaching on psychology and spiritual power.
Exactly.
But the king wanted the list. He wanted karmachi, plural. So while that was deep, we need to cover the broader strokes now, right? The cosmic rescues, the establishment of justice.
Yes, now we move into the catalog of more widely known avatars and their specific interventions. Right, so if the Naranarayan story was about inner mastery, this part is about outer action fixing problems in the cosmos. The source text moves pretty quickly here, grouping the incarnations by their main purpose. #A, incarnations of knowledge and renunciation.
And it's interesting that it starts not with fighting, but with teaching. Fixing ignorance seems to be priority one.
That's a key insight. The first universal threat is often the loss of wisdom. So we begin with Hasa, the swan incarnation, his deed, instructing Atma Yoga, the science of the self, pure self-realization.
Then that Tartreya and the Kumaras.
Their very existence is presented as a teaching on renunciation and transcendental knowledge. And the text also mentions Upadeva, referred to as our Father, reinforcing this idea of a continuous stream of divine teachers.
Okay, teachers first. But what about when the knowledge itself is lost or stolen?
That brings us to Hayagriva, the horse-headed incarnation, a really crucial deed.
What did he do?
He confronted the demon Madhu Madhubida, the slayer of Madhu, who represents darkness or ignorance, because Madhu had stolen the Vedas, the sacred knowledge, and hidden them in the cosmic ocean. Hayagriva's deed was retrieving those Shriteya, restoring the very foundation of cosmic understanding. #B, cosmic rescuers and protectors.
Okay, knowledge restored. Now for the big physical crises. Saving the world, literally.
Exactly. These are the cosmic troubleshooters. First up, Matsya, the fish.
The Great Flood story.
During a pralaya, a cosmic flood or dissolution, apai. Matsya's specific deed was protecting Manu, the progenitor of the next human race, and also safeguarding the seeds and essential herbs, ilotaya. He ensures continuity of life across cosmic cycles.
Protector of the future, then. What about Varāha, the boar? That seems more forceful.
Definitely more forceful. Varāha deals with the demon Hiranyuka, the Dipija, who had literally dragged the earth Kama down into the primordial waters Amvasa.
So the planet itself was submerged.
Yes. Varāha's deed was to dive down, kill the demon, and physically lift the earth back up. It's a powerful image of divine intervention to save the physical world from the depths of chaos.
Sheer strength. Then there's Kūrma, the tortoise. Much quieter, right?
Very quiet, but absolutely essential. Kūrma's deed happens during the churning of the ocean for nectar, amata, and methane, a huge cosmic event.
The one with the demigods and demons working together, sort of.
Right. They were using Mount Mandara as a churning rod, but it started sinking. Kūrma appeared and supported the entire mountain, Adri on his back, Svapalya.
So, his deed was providing the stable foundation for this huge collaborative effort.
Exactly. Silent, enduring support. It shows the divine role isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just holding everything steady.
And one more in this category, Gajendra Moksha.
The liberation of the Elephant King. This one's different, very personal. The deed was rescuing the Elephant King, Aparajam Dartam, who was caught by a crocodile, Krahat.
What's the key point here?
Surrender. The elephant had completely surrendered. Prapanam. The Lord's response was immediate and total. It emphasizes his role as the savior of anyone who sincerely takes shelter, regardless of their form or status. #C, justice and reestablishment of order.
Okay, so wait, we've had knowledge givers and cosmic rescuers. Now we move into enforcing justice, dealing with tyranny. Nūsya, the man-lion, seems like the prime example here.
Absolutely. And the text gives us some pretty grim background for his appearance. It wasn't just one bad guy. The whole system was failing.
Oh, so?
Sages were lost, Indra was weakened and in darkness, and critically, the wives of the demigods, the Vastriya, were imprisoned by demons, Pihetha. Social and moral order had collapsed.
So Nūsya's arrival was a response to total chaos.
Yes. He killed the demon king Hiranyakashipu, the Asura Indram, and the stated purpose was apayasatam, to grant fearlessness to the virtuous, the saintly. It was about restoring safety and righteousness immediately and forcefully.
Direct intervention for protection.
And this specific act illustrates a general principle mentioned next. The Lord continuously kills oppressive demon kings, Daichafatin, for the sake of the demigods, Surarthe. He keeps reestablishing the worlds, Bhuvanani Adahat, using his various partial expansions, Kalavyas throughout the ages. It's ongoing cosmic maintenance.
Okay, what about Vāmana, the dwarf incarnation? That seems less about force and more about strategy.
Exactly. Vāmana's deed is brilliant in its humility. He appears as a small dwarf Brahmin and uses the trick of begging, Yacha Chalena.
Begging for what?
3 steps of land from the powerful but perhaps overly ambitious King Bali. Bali agrees, and Vāmana then expands to cosmic size, covering the entire universe in 2 steps and reclaiming the earth, Kama, for the funds of Aditi, the demigods.
So he uses apparent weakness to achieve total victory and restore divine order.
Precisely. It shows divine power doesn't always need to be overt. Sometimes subtlety and humility are the keys.
Then we get the really heavy hitters. Parashurama. The name itself sounds intense.
Rāma with the axe. His deed was intense. He dealt with the corruption of the Kshatriya, the warrior ruling class, specifically the Hai dynasty.
And he didn't just defeat them once.
No. The text says he made the earth Netatrium, free from corrupt Kshatriyas, 21 times. Tri Saptakatva.
21 times. That's
Yeah.
relentless.
It underscores the severity of the corruption and the Lord's capacity for repeated, drastic purification when the protectors become oppressors.
And finally in this section, Lord Rāma, Sitopatiya, the husband of Sita.
Rāma's deeds are legendary, focused on upholding Dharma in personal, social, and kingly roles. Key acts mentioned here are building the bridge by binding the ocean, Abdi Babanda, and killing the 10-headed Ravan, Dashvaktra, and his forces.
And his legacy.
His fame, his kirtiya, is said to destroy the world's sins, Lokamalagna. His very story is a purifying force. He establishes righteousness through perfect example. #D, the future. Prophecies for the earth.
Okay, so that covers a lot of past deeds.
Yeah.
But then the text does something interesting. It shifts to the future tense.
Yeah. Yes. Sloka 22 gives prophecies. This is Drumala speaking, remember? So these are future events from his perspective, confirming the Lord's action is ongoing, eternal.
And the first prophecy is about?
It says the unborn Lord, Ajanma, will appear in the Yadu dynasty, Yadu. His purpose, Varatrayaya, to relieve the earth's burden, and he will perform deeds difficult even for the demigods.
So his arrival is foretold as a major intervention. Then comes Buddha. This description is often discussed, isn't it?
It is, and it's quite specific here. The prophecy states that, as Buddha, the Lord will appear to vimohayati, bewilder or confuse certain people.
Oh.
Atadarhan, those who are unqualified, who are misusing Vedic sacrifices, yanakata, his method. Vadai, speculative arguments or philosophies.
So the text isn't saying Buddhism itself is bewildering, but that it serves a specific purpose for a specific group who are misusing rituals.
That seems to be the angle presented in this particular source. It frames it as a strategic intervention. If people are abusing powerful Vedic rites because they lack the proper qualification or intent,
Then giving them a philosophy that diverts them from those rites actually protects both them and the sanctity of the rites.
that's one interpretation of the function described here. Protective misdirection, you could call it. It stops the misuse of sacred power by those unfit to wield it. Again, we're just reporting what the source states.
Understood. And the final future deed mentioned, the end of the age.
Kalki. At the very end of the Kali Yuga, Kalo Ante, when things are at their worst, the Lord will appear as Kalki to destroy, Nahaniyat, the corrupt rulers, Katifuja.
And how are these rulers described?
As acting like Sudran, meaning governing without the honor, duty, or ethical code expected of a proper ruler or Kaitya. They are impious and unjust. Kalki's deed is the final necessary cleansing before the cycle renews. #tag outro.
Wow. Okay. We went from the cosmic blueprint through psychological warfare, divine rescues, establishing justice, all the way to future interventions. It's a lot.
It is. And Drumala himself kind of summarizes it at the end, doesn't he? He tells the king, look, the Lord of the universe, Jagapate, has performed many, many glorious births and deeds, karmai. These things we've discussed are just some examples, extensively described elsewhere.
We definitely couldn't count all the dust particles.
Not even close.
But we did see the patterns, didn't we? The consistency. Protector, maintainer, teacher.
Absolutely. Protector of Dharma, master of his own creation, always acting ultimately out of compassion, even when the actions seem fierce.
But I have to say, the part that sticks with me the most, the real gut punch, is from that Nara story. Sloka 11.
Ah, the final fall. The cow's hoof print.
Yes, that warning that you can do the impossible, cross those vast oceans of desire, hunger, thirst, lust, time itself, conquer the biggest challenges.
Decades of effort, monumental victories against the senses and the mind.
And then fall. Not because of some epic final battle, but because of vifalachakotasya, futile anger, drowning in that tiny puddle of ego.
It highlights where the real final battle often lies. Not in the grand external struggles, but in the subtle internal reaction, especially the pride that comes after victory.
It seems like the Lord's deeds, especially his perfect calm in the face of temptation, are meant to show us that state of self-satisfaction, svaroma, is the ultimate goal.
And the ultimate protection against that final, subtle failure. If his happiness is internal, he can't be shaken by external provocation, big or small.
So maybe the question we leave you, the listener, with is this. We see the Lord handle cosmic threats and direct temptation with perfect equanimity. Why then, according to this text, is the most dangerous point for us? Often not those huge struggles, but that tiny momentary flicker of pointless anger, that wounded pride that can make us throw away everything we've gained.
Why does that shallow puddle prove deeper than the ocean for so many?
A question worth pondering. It suggests the final frontier is mastering that subtle reaction of the ego.
A profound challenge indeed.
And that brings us to the end of this deep dive.
It's been fascinating exploring this.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep exploring the sources.